Caribbean containers. This is the village of Farm on the east bank of Demerara. Just wanted to show you what's happening here at Farm. This is a gated community that's being built here at Farm on the east bank of Demerara. I don't know if all these houses are owned by the same developer, if they're built by the same developer. I can only guess. As you can see, a number of homes have been completed. Some of them are still under construction. Alright, some of them are still under construction. Some of them are completed and are painted, fully painted. But because of the similarity of the architecture, I'm led to assume that they're all being built by the same developer. And I guess because of the fence too. But this is what's happening here. There's a Ford dealer here at Farm on the east bank of Demerara. It's a new Ford dealership being built here. See what they're called. Wind. Anyway, that's a Ford dealer here at Farm on the east bank of Demerara. It's a home behind that large house. That's the East Bank public road that has been widened to 4 lanes, 2 in each direction, 2 going into the city, 2 going out of the city. Right? That's the Ford dealer. And on this side, these are the homes in this new housing development, still housing development here at Farm on the east bank of Demerara. Trade wind. I guess I need to wear my prescription glasses. So Trade wind is a new Ford dealership. So we've seen so far, we've passed a Hyundai dealership, and a Ford dealership. And this is another wholesale and retail home sense. Another warehouse for home decor. Here at the village of Farm on the east bank of Demerara. So guys, I'm showing you what's happening in this neck of the woods on the east bank of Demerara. The next village coming up is Hersteling. But this is the Park View Hotel and Residence. Park View is one of the places you can stay here at Farm. So this is a relatively new hotel. I don't know how long it's been in operation, but Parkview is one of the new residences in this large complex here at Farm on the east bank of Demerara. I think they have a water park somewhere in this premises. Don't know. I've become how to come as a large American flag being flown. Parkview Hotel and Residence here at Farm. Like I said, the next village is Hersteling. Right, the next village is Hersteling. The next village is Hersteling here on the east bank of Demerara, but we're going through the village of Farm. I think there's a water park somewhere in the back here, if I recall correctly. We'll take a look at it at some point in the future. But to show you what's happening on the east bank in this neck of the woods, to give you a feel for the rapid growth and expansion here in the fastest growing economy in the world, I'm showing you developments along the east bank of Demerara, the East Bank Public Road. This road used to be a narrow one-lane road, one lane heading in each direction. It was congested. It still is congested now that it's a two-lane highway, but it's a holiday today. It's Indian Arrival Day in Guyana. The Demerara River is about 100 meters in that direction, right, along this canal. So we're really tracing the contours of the Demerara River. This road, this East Bank Public Road does that as we then enter the small village of Hersteling. So these are old neighborhoods now. Hersteling is probably much older than the new developments going up in Diamond and Great Diamond and Prospect, where there once was sugarcane field. But Hersteling, these homes have been around since the 1960s, I suppose. But even here, development is fast and thick, and what I'm showing you is how the oil and gas industry in Guyana is transforming the country. It's transforming the industries. We've passed a couple of car dealerships. It's transforming the housing sector. There are new housing developments being built all along the coast and along this east bank of the road. This is a temple, Hindu temple, here on the east bank. And this is the small village of Hersteling. It's going up. New homes are going up around here. I suppose if you go down deeper into the neighborhood, you'll find newer homes and bigger homes here in Hersteling. Just looking back the way we came. Hersteling. And what I want to show you in Hersteling is this neighborhood. It's built about 15 years ago. This is housing development. Just sand trucks going by. Yes, this housing development is built about 15 years ago. And in fact is one of the newer ones with larger homes. Somebody was given this tract of land, or purchased this tract of land to develop houses in the 1990s, and these houses were built in the early 2000s, and now they're fully lived in. In other words, people have moved in and begun to modify them and transform them. But in the beginning they were all identical little homes until some of the transformation, the individual transformations, people modified them. The problem with this kind of housing development is that it's really not planned in the way housing development is usually planned. You usually plan by determining how many families you plan to house in a neighborhood, and then you build schools, you build shopping centers, you build police station and fire station, and you build health centers and hospital. This is not the kind of housing development that was built in the 1990s and the early 2000s. They just built houses, tract houses, and this is how it turned out. So that is the view that we will take when we examine in future during this month the new housing developments that are being built. This is an example of an older housing development built about 15 years ago here at Hersteling on a tract of land that was acquired by a developer. He built all of these homes, built them identically small, but now the homeowners have taken possession of them and modified them to their individual tastes. This one is still under modification, I can see. But since then, a number of other developers have built gated communities varying descriptions, varying quality. We've seen some of them in Pradoville 1 and Pradoville 2, but some of them have already begun to be modified, individualized. This, for example, I guess is somebody modifying one of the initial homes. They probably tore it down and built as these. Tore it down and built something much to their preference. But these are all same tract houses. Right, these houses were all identical when they were built 20 years, 15 years ago. And now I guess they're taking on the identity of the homeowners who eventually purchased them. But that's what's happening here at Hersteling on the east bank of Demerara, where I'm showing you some of the changes, some of the massive development that is taking place in Georgetown, Guyana. Hersteling on the east bank of Demerara is about 7, maybe 8 miles from Georgetown, certainly less than 10 miles from Georgetown, and very close to the east bank public road. So guys, that's what's happening here on the east bank of Guyana. We're just taking a walk along the east bank to show you some of these developments. In future videos I'm going to show you specific housing schemes and specific housing developments here on the east bank, and we'll examine them for some of the features that we look for in good housing developments. Remember, I'm actually building my own condominium. We're online, you can go take a look at our website, where I'll keep you updated on progress that I'm making with my housing development. Eco smart homes built for people who are interested in living an eco-friendly lifestyle here in the tropical climates of the Caribbean and in South America. But this is what's being built here at Hersteling. On the east bank of Demerara. If you want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe. In the comments below, tell me what you think about these houses that were built by a local developer at Hersteling 15 years ago. Remember, these homes were built back in the early 2000s when our contractors were still being guided by traditional homes from the 1960s. So basically these houses were concrete forms of what was built in the 1960s. But eventually what happened is people started copying styles from Canada and the US, the American South, where people had migrated and returned from. So some of the modifications later on began to look more and more like North American houses. But this is what was built in the 2000s, early 2000s, housing development in the early 2000s by a local private developer. Tell me what you think about this. And so leave in comments below what you think about this kind of housing development here in Hersteling, and what do you think about the new houses that are being built as we go into the next village, which is Providence on the east bank of Demerara. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know what's happening here in Georgetown, Guyana. Later!